Today, I want to talk about what it means to be unapologetically authentic. This is a conversation that I keep having with friends and clients right now about us all feeling like we are suppressing this part of ourselves that we want to express. And we're feeling like we're just not living our lives authentically and to our fullest purpose. We have all of these things that are holding us back and we want to break free from them, but we're kind of just feeling stuck. So today we're going to go deeper into that. And we're going to start by recognizing that we have been heavily programmed by our peers and our environment to change who we are all throughout our lives. And the problem with that is that our primal desire to be accepted by our tribe has really forced us to kind of turn into chameleons at times in order to fit in. Because let's think about it. Back in the day when humans first gathered around, if we were rejected by our village, we were cast aside. We had to go live in the forest, and now we were prey. We were food to the wolves. So we really do need to be accepted by our people in order to survive. However, times have changed. It's not like that anymore. We don't have to do it that way anymore. So now it's time for us to take control of our thoughts and our actions so that we can actually live our lives authentically and with fulfillment. So if this sounds like something that you're ready for, then we're going to get in touch with our authentic versions of ourselves today. And I'm also going to give you some actionable things that you can start doing right now in order to embrace and embody your authenticity. But let's start by going deeper into why we hide our true selves, because it really does always come down to some fear thought that stands in our way. So yeah, that fear of being rejected by our village and our tribe is very real. However, it goes into more complex things than that, more complex limiting beliefs that we've formed. Maybe it was something that happened in childhood. Maybe we were told that part of us was too much, so we had to learn how to mask that from the world. Or maybe we were even just made fun of because of something that we loved or when we were expressing ourselves and our excitements. We need to start by getting really clear on why it is that we hide our true selves out of fear. What is that fear of judgment or that fear of shame coming from? I know when I had my first spiritual awakening and I wanted to start stepping into spiritual communities, I started attending women's circles, yoga classes, workshops, doing certifications and courses and stuff like that. And I was stepping into these new spiritual communities where I was seemingly thinking everyone was enlightened and living such holistic lifestyles that I started to dress differently when I would walk in. I started to hide, the things I was doing on the weekends. At that time, I was still getting drunk on the weekends and partying and into eating junk food. And I wasn't the person that I am now after all of these years of putting in that work and peeling back those layers and giving up the alcohol and saying no to a lot of the foods that were causing me harm. I walked into that community feeling like I had to put on a mask, I remember, and pretend to kind of be something that I wasn't. I would kind of just act as if I was already this spiritually enlightened person, yet I was feeling like I was not that at all. And it caused me to kind of fragment off part of who I was. I wanted to be accepted so badly by this community because I knew it was in alignment with where I was going. But unfortunately, in order for me to do that, I didn't start out by being authentic. Now, when I show up at workshops and events, I am absolutely able to just be authentic and not care what anybody thinks. I dress the way I want to dress now, not the way I feel like some spiritual guru should be dressing. And I just show up as me and I embody that. And this is the kind of self-awareness that I'm wanting to bring into your perspective today and remind you of is, what communities are you showing up in and feeling like you have to kind of pretend or you have to have the latest thing and you have to dress a certain way in order to fit in. Today, we're going to dismantle that and go deeper into who it is we actually want to be. Another reason why we hide our true selves is because of our patriarchal conditioning that we've had. We were born into a world that is heavily programmed by these systems and conditioning that all happens on a subconscious level. We are so unaware of, yet it has direct effects on us every single day. Let's start by looking at how it affects women. Let's think about, all the ways that women have been conditioned to prioritize being accommodating, nurturing, and agreeable. Often this comes at the expense of their true thoughts, feelings, and ambitions. We get so caught up in feeling like we have to be this people pleaser and sacrifice ourselves. We just have to put everybody else's needs first. And we're sometimes made to feel guilty when we actually assert our boundaries and prioritize our own desires. Women who grow up under the influence of patriarchal conditioning also tend to diminish themselves. We're afraid of being seen as too much, too loud, too opinionated, too ambitious, and it's often just met with judgment and criticism. So instead, we decide to just shrink ourselves so that we can fit in and not be too much. We're also policed by the ways that we express ourselves. When you think about the beauty standards and behavioral expectations, that all creates that mold that women feel pressured to fit into, where we once again have to just hide our raw, unfiltered, makeup-free selves, our emotional selves too. We also have a history of watching women be punished for speaking out, standing up for themselves, or rejecting traditional roles that can result in being labeled as difficult. This happens with professional consequences or even social rejection. We just look at a history of women who have lost their jobs for speaking up, or women who were executed and tried for speaking their truth and fighting for themselves, or women whose stories were diminished and silenced by the patriarchy. All of these things play a role on a subconscious level with the ways that we show up authentically. And this doesn't just happen for women. This happens for men too. Let's look at the way that men are influenced by patriarchal conditioning. So they're told to suppress their true selves, particularly when it comes to emotions, vulnerability, and personal fulfillment outside of traditional markers of success. From a very young age, are told that they have to repress their emotions. They are not allowed to cry or show anything beyond anger. That leads to a total disconnect from their feelings and difficulty expressing themselves vulnerably. Men also are programmed with toxic definitions of strength. For men, strength can be defined as dominance, self-sufficiency, and emotional stoicism, which makes it difficult for them to actually seek help or admit struggles without feeling like they're weak. Men are also faced with tremendous pressure to perform and provide. They're often measured by financial success, status, and productivity, which forces them further into roles that they just do not feel aligned with. And then when men decide to challenge the status quo, they're met with that same fear of rejection and isolation, whether that be by them embracing their emotional depth or their creative expression or having non-traditional careers. They too feel like they are at risk for social alienation or ridicule. When we think about being unapologetically authentic, it really starts with unwrapping these limiting beliefs that we have and going deeper into our subconscious and recognizing the collective impact that both men and women are harmed by in a system that forces us into restrictive roles that prevent us from fully embodying who we are. Women may suppress their power, while men may suppress their emotional depth. It leaves both genders feeling disconnected from our full humanity. So how do we break free from that? I'm glad you asked. Dismantling that patriarchal conditioning requires a lot of self-awareness. We have to unlearn these beliefs, and we have to create spaces where both men and women can express themselves freely without that fear of judgment or punishment. It's what we're doing right now. When we recognize these patterns, we can begin to reclaim our authentic selves and create a society where emotional expression, self-ownership, and individuality are valued for everybody equally. So ask yourself right now, which of these patterns have you noticed most in your experiences or at work? That first step to being unapologetically authentic is recognizing our conditioning and beliefs that are holding us back from speaking our truth and following our excitements. So what does it mean to be unapologetically authentic? It really is an ongoing process of unlearning, self-inquiry, and courageous self-expression. So here's what you can do right now to embody your authenticity. Don't be afraid to give direction and clearly say what you want. I remember when I was a kid, I was always told that I was bossy or don't be bossy. And I had it this belief in my mind that being bossy wasn't a trait that people liked. My parents were like, don't boss me around. Other kids don't tell me what to do. And I fragmented off that part of myself. And I would tell myself when I was about to be bossy or when I was about to lead and direct that, oh, hang on, you need to be quiet. Don't be too bossy. That stuck with me for many years. I actually would really hold myself back around bosses and in meetings because I felt like, okay, you're not the boss. You don't get to be the one who decides. Meanwhile, I am the freaking boss. I am bossy and I'm proud of it because I am an amazing communicator and director, and I can see the abilities and skills and gifts in others, and I can delegate and say what needs to get done. These are gifts that I was born with, but I spent so many years suppressing that out of a fear that I was being too much, that I was being too bossy. But we are in our authenticity when we speak up and we say what we need, be it in the office or be it in the bedroom. That's part of being authentic, speaking up. Speak your truth, even when you're afraid that it's going to hurt someone, because honesty is always going to work out in your favor and guide you towards your most authentic self. Think about it. If you tell someone that you don't like something that they're doing and they have a hard time with that and they don't want to be friends with you anymore, then that has now worked out in your favor because that person did not have your best interest in mind. And this goes across the board for everything. Speak your truth at work. Speak your truth with your family. Speak your truth in the bedroom. Speak your truth with your friends. Speak your truth with strangers. Speak your truth everywhere, and it is going to keep you in alignment with what makes you happy and what is in your highest favor. And go after your dreams despite being afraid what people are going to think about it. Because knowing that it's okay to start over again can absolutely transform your entire life for the better. And knowing that it's okay to be a student again gives you an opportunity to expand and evolve even further. Not being afraid of having to be perfect and not being afraid of what people think when you start that second career or that fourth, fifth career, or when you just go after your dreams. Just do it, because that's where we get to embody our full authenticity and live our lives on purpose. Because at the end of the day, the people that you're so afraid of that they're going to judge you for going after your dreams, they're just reflections of yourself and your own insecurities. So let's just squash that and let's just get after it. And by doing that, we give everyone else permission to do the same thing too. It has a direct effect on the collective consciousness. So go after your dreams and don't play small or dim your light. I spent so many years being afraid to dance in public, and I love dancing. I went to an ecstatic dance last night and I had the best time just being free and running around and shaking and moving my body and just letting that source energy flow through me and feeling the music and feeling the vibrations heal me. Some powerful stuff. But I spent so many years of my life not doing it because I was afraid to shake my hips, thinking that women were not going to like it, or afraid to, move my arms around and flail around like a crazy bird because people are going to judge me. But all I was doing was holding myself back from living authentically. Now that I dance in public, I feel free. And I encourage you to do the same. Don't play small and don't dim your light. Also, honor your unique gifts and chase your excitements. I'm going to ask you right now, what beliefs have you formed that are telling you not to get after the things that excite you? Maybe did you stop playing hockey when you realized you were too old for the Olympics? Or did you stop making art because it wasn't being displayed in a famous gallery? Try reconnecting with the things that excited you the most as a child. Those are the essence of who you are. And they're one of the fastest ways to get in touch with our authentic selves. And listen to your inner voice. Notice when your intuition speaks by going inward. It's always trying to tell you something, but the problem is we're always drowning it out with distractions. So what is your inner voice saying to you when you get quiet, when you go in? Those are real messages. And pay attention to what feels expansive and what feels constricting. Your authentic self thrives in experiences that feel freeing, exciting, and aligned. So if something feels draining, forced, or small, that is most likely a sign that you're operating from conditioning instead of authenticity. And embrace discomfort and vulnerability. Authenticity often requires stepping outside of comfort zones. So allow yourself to be seen even when it feels uncomfortable. Vulnerability is a strength. It's not a weakness. And surround yourself with people that support the real you. Spend time with those people who just celebrate you as you are, not just who they expect you to be. Distance yourself from those relationships that require you to shrink or put on that mask. Also, trust yourself more than external validation. Stop seeking permission to be who you are. The more you trust your inner wisdom, the stronger it becomes. And take aligned action. Taking aligned action is not just about thinking differently. It's about making choices that align with your truth. So if your current job, relationships, or habits don't align with the person you want to be, then consider making small shifts that bring you closer to your authentic self. Authenticity is a practice. It is not a destination. There's no final version of your true self. We're always evolving. The goal is to continually align your actions, choices, and voice with what feels true, freeing, and expansive, and also with what feels in alignment with where and who you want to be. So I'm going to ask you, what part of this journey feels the most relevant for you right now? What areas really lit that fire in you? And who do you want to be? If you like this episode, please give me some love, some hearts, some stars, all that stuff. Hit subscribe and share it as well. It really helps me grow my business, and it's that fuel to my sacral fire that keeps me creating and going. And if you want to receive the latest podcast episodes or just some empowered thoughts and insights that I have to share in my newsletter, you can subscribe to that at Jeany Crux. That's JeanyCrux.com/subscribe. I'll see you again soon.